I love money, and I'm finally admitting it now. It feels weird to say actually too, because money is evil. It makes evil people, and greedy people like money and care about money. Bad people do really bad things with money. I've found that I have those tendencies, but I would go as far as to say I wouldn't say I'm greedy or evil. I'm an evil person. I just think about it in a different way. So we all hear that money isn't real. But I would say people say that to avoid it, right? You know, it's what makes them reckless with it, actually. You know, when you don't care about something, you are going to be willing to drop it at any second and you're willing to treat it poorly, right? Or do bad things with it. You care less about what it has to offer and the value that it has. Now, you can say the dollar is depreciating, whatever, it's losing value, you know, whatever. But, I've already made a video saying it's bad. You can watch that if you want. But that's not the point. I think money is very important. It's the number one tool that we have. And when you say money isn't real and you want to avoid it, I would say maybe it's not money that isn't real. It's your perception of money that isn't real, actually. Because your perception of it is what's causing you to be so reckless. Now, what we call greed could be actually just attention, right? When you go into school and you say, I want to be a teacher, everybody's going to say, oh, that's so great. But when you say, but, you know, maybe I want to teach at college because the money's better. I do want to work with kids just just as much as I want to be a teacher. But I could be a professor as also a teacher. I just work with adults or teach young adults, right? You know, and I would make quadruple the money, right? Maybe that's when everybody says, no, you're in it for the wrong reasons. You want to be a professor for the money when you should really be a teacher because that's your passion. Now that's when I think it's called being attentive, right? You're attentive to and you're mindful of this is one option and this is the other. This one obviously has more benefits. It puts me in a better position. And obviously, the reason it puts me in a better position is because it has more money. You know, Money is something I would say is a way of life. It's not it's not the life of the way. And I think when you accept that fact, you know, you can go really far. Now, when you don't care about money, you don't care about what you do with it. Like I said, you become reckless. But also on top of becoming reckless, you get you lose your grip on it, right? Besides being reckless, you don't realize that you're being reckless because you don't care about it. It's not something you look at. It's not something you're not looking at, how you're spending each month. You're not looking at how much you're making each month. Maybe you are, and maybe you're looking at the paycheck so you can spend it next Friday, right? But when you stop caring, it becomes the biggest stressor in your life. One of, maybe, you know, because like I said, you lose that grip and you just wonder where your money's going. But when you start caring, it stops becoming a stress. You get a huge understanding, and it becomes one of the biggest benefactors to your life.